Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Little Likac podcast. My name is Amanda. This is episode 67 and it is Sunday, February the 18th. I've literally just gone through all of those things to make sure I get all the right information out in the introduction because I'm rubbish. I checked to see what episode number it is, and by the time I press record, I've forgotten. Like, oh, hang on, is that number the one that it was last time or was that this time? My brain. Anyway, you are welcome to my podcast. As I say, my name's Amanda and I'm coming to you from Derby in the UK. This is a knitting and crochet podcast and I feel like I've got lots to talk to you about today, although maybe not very much to show you, but lots to do. So I really should have made a list. I've got a mental list, but as I've just said, my brain is a bit rubbish. We'll see. Anyway, so firstly, a big thank you to all the new subscribers. Lovely to have you here, and I hope you enjoy the content. Thank you for all my returning subscribers. Thank you for all the lovely comments. So the last video I made was my Make 9, which was so funny because I'd even got a list written out, and yet somehow when I came to edit it and do the little grid with all the pictures on, I realised I talked about 10 patterns, not 9. Yeah, I know. So my Make 9 is actually now Make 10. So today I am going to give you an update on where I am up to with my Make 9/10. We're also going to have an update on the Cowl, which is getting really exciting because we'll be doing the first giveaway next podcast. What else have I got? I have got one finished object, which is a bit sad, but yeah, quite a lot of progress on other things. And also I'm going to give you my statistics for what I knitted in January and what I bought in January, because I don't think I've actually mentioned this on the podcast. I am not trying to go a year without buying yarn. That would be ridiculous. I am not trying to bust all my stash. That would be ridiculous. But I am trying to knit more, use more yarn, knit or crochet, use more yarn than I buy. Now I started tracking that last year, and I was using a spreadsheet that was attached to a group on Ravelry, and it got to, I think, April, and the moderators, things happened and that spreadsheet didn't get updated and I kind of lost track. So this year I've created my own spreadsheet. I also suspect, anyway, let's face it, if you watched what I bought in September at Yarndale, we probably all know there's no way I knitted more than I bought last year, because I did go a bit mad at Yarndale. So I'm literally just putting some hand cream on as I talk to you. It's really weird, isn't it? So I'm kind of like, I just suddenly saw the hand cream over there and thought, oh, it's a good opportunity to put some hand cream on. Yeah, while I'm talking to you, that makes sense. Deep breaths, Amanda, deep breaths. Right, so yes, so I am going to give you the statistics for January of what I knitted and what I bought. Yeah, so quite a lot to show you and talk to you, but not much in the way of finished objects at this time. Let's talk, though, about the Socksy and You Know It Cowl, because my first finished object over there were my February socks for the Socksy and You Know It Cowl. So I know quite a lot of you are joining in with this. So the knit along that I'm running this year is just a socks knit along, and the idea is that you knit a pair of socks. You start it in at the beginning of a month or at any time in that month, and you have got up to 2 months to complete that pair of socks. So it's February the 18th. If you are still working on a pair of socks that you started in January, you can still put those in the January thread. At the end of February, 29th of February, I will be locking that thread. This is on Ravelry, so you can enter them onto Ravelry. On February the 29th, I'll be closing down that thread and I will be picking a winner. Now, I will be filming podcast on either the 2nd or 3rd of March, and that's when I will announce the prize winner for the January socks. And then at the end of March, I'll be choosing the winner for the February socks, etc. So what I have done is I picked out, and if you want to see me picking those yarns out, that happened in my November vlog, somewhere around the 7th and 8th of November, I think it was. I went through all my sock yarn stash. There was a lot of it. And this is why there's no way I'll be busting all my stash this year. So I went through all my sock yarn. And I picked out 12 balls of commercial sock yarn, all self-striping, all with purple in somewhere. And I wrapped them up, and then on the 1st of each month, I am unwrapping that yarn and knitting a pair of socks with it. Obviously not finishing a pair of socks on the 1st. Anyway, here are my February socks completed. Ta-da! Now, when you saw these last, which was 2 weeks ago, I had got down to the heel on the first sock, and I think that was literally just a couple of days knitting. Yes, because I cast them on at Knit Group, so knitted on them the Thursday evening, the Friday evening, and then I think I filmed my podcast on the Saturday. So if you don't know this yarn, and I know a lot of people will know this yarn, it's by West Yorkshire Spinners, and it's one of their Christmas colourways, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people do know it, and it is called Vintage Tinsel, and you can see how sparkly it is. And if you are a regular viewer of the podcast, you'll know a few things about me. One, purple is my favourite colour, hence cuddly toy hugs in the background, a lot of purple. Anyway, and also I love a bit of sparkle. So yes, the main colourway is Vintage Tinsel, lovely and sparkly, and then I paired it with, again, West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply, the Amethyst colourway, and they're just perfect, just beautiful. So what I am also doing this year with these socks is I am not wearing them yet. I found I had got a box from, this would have been 2021, when there was a sock along that I joined in with, the Rainbow Sock Chronicles, and I got this beautiful box. I think it was from So Sweet Violet. So I fished this box out again, and I have put in my January socks. They were beautifully folded and neatly, so my January socks are in there, and then my February socks are going to go in there. And the plan is just to keep the socks in this box until the end of the year, and then next year I can start to wear all these lovely socks. So that's where these are going. So yes, just a quick reminder, if you want to join in with the sock along, the actual prizes will be drawn from the Ravelry thread. Now, a couple of people have been emailing me, which is absolutely fine, not a problem at all. So if you want to enter and you can't get onto Ravelry, if you email me a picture of your socks, and some people also give me a little bit of information about them, I will put them onto the Ravelry thread and they'll be part of the draw. I don't always get back to somebody. You might send me an email and it might be 3 or 4 days before I reply to it. But I will reply and let you know that I have done that. So I would say please don't wait till the the 29th of Feb to enter socks for January. If you're going to do it by email, I'd really appreciate it if you sent them to me by email a day or two before, because obviously then on the 29th I will have to make sure that any emails I've got are in the Ravelry thread. Okay. So that is the Socksy and You Know It knit along. So thank you to everybody who's joined in. We've got over 60 pairs in the January thread. I'm not sure how many there are in the February thread at the moment. Maybe about a dozen or so. So okay, that's the Socksy and You Know It knit along. Let me just have another slurp of my coffee. Second cup of coffee. It's only 10 o'clock in the morning. I've just seen I've got a bruise there. I have no idea where that bruise has come from. No idea. How weird. Okay, so that's my only finished object. Let me show you though what I have been working on. So I have been working on one of my Make 9/10 projects, and it was one that was already cast on. I cast this on something like the 6th of December. And it's this really lovely jumper. Now this one is not on my Make 9 grid, and that was when I realised that I'd got 10. So this jumper is a Stylecraft, obviously it's commercial pattern, Stylecraft 9947. I can't actually see the pattern on Ravelry. I might have to try and add it in myself. There are sort of two options. You can do the V-neck or the crew neck. I am doing the V-neck, and I am doing it in this colour, which is I think called Aubergine. Let me have a look. Yes, Aubergine. So I am even using the correct yarn, I know. And last time you saw this, I had cast on the back and I'd started knitting it, and I've done about 2 pattern repeats. And yeah, this is where I'd got to. And then I carried on knitting the back. I'd knitted a bit more than this. I'd knitted about another pattern repeat like this. And I realised I'd got through, I was on to my 3rd ball of yarn, and I thought, I'm not going to have enough yarn for this. I started doing some calculations in my mind. And I know it's oversized, but I looked at the width and I measured it, and it was about 3 or 4 inches at least bigger than it was supposed to be, which then of course over the back and the front was going to be like 6, 7, 8 inches bigger than it needed to be, and it was already oversized. So I checked my gauge, and this is where it was really weird. Yeah, because I hadn't done a gauge swatch or a tension square. No, because life's too short. And anyway, I'm not sure that it would have been very helpful if I had, because what was weird was my tension or gauge was out on the moss stitch. But it seemed to be right on the actual pattern, because on the pattern, in the pattern, it does tell you what your tension should be on both. It says tension 1 pattern repeat, 18 stitches, measures 11.5 centimetres. And then it told you over the moss stitch you should have 14 stitches over 10 centimetres for the moss stitch. Well, and this is where it was weird, because I was about right over the pattern repeat, but the moss stitch I was a couple of stitches out. So if I had done a gauge swatch, I would have probably swatched it probably in the moss stitch, to be fair. But anyway, so I decided to restart and do a smaller size, because I thought, well, the tension is right there, wrong there, and I actually quite like the feel of the fabric. Didn't really want to go down to smaller needles, because this wool, and I'll show you what wool it is in a minute, feels relatively stiff anyway, and I thought if I go down to a tighter gauge, I'm not sure if I'm going to like the feel of the fabric. So I decided I was going to go down, and not just one size, I've actually gone down 2 sizes to what I was knitting before. And I feel much happier. I've measured the back and I feel much happier. So what I have knitted the entire back in the smaller size. And there's the pattern repeat. So I've knitted the entire back since I saw you 2 weeks ago, and I've knitted both sleeves as well, which is just the moss stitch, and this is all now 2 sizes smaller than what I was doing, and I still think it's not going to be maybe oversized, but it's still going to have plenty of positive ease. This was the back from previously, so I've now started the front, and I wound off the yarn, the first ball of yarn from the old back, and this is how much now I've got done of the front. So I will put the progress keeper in there, and obviously I will be winding off the rest of this yarn as I need it. And now actually I think I might be left, it may be that I'm going to be left with 1 ball unused. We'll see. So this is the yarn that I'm using. It is Stylecraft Recreate Chunky. I bought this last year, so it counts as stash busting. It is 40% wool, 30% acrylic, 30% polyester, 140 metres for 100 grams, and it is all recycled. And this is the colourway Aubergine, which is also shade 3456. So I have got 1 ball left not used yet, but I've got 2 full balls there and pretty much a full ball here. So I think there's a good chance I'm going to be left with 1 ball. So I feel like I can easily get this finished by the end of February, and that is the plan. Even though, because I was really panicking, but I wanted to have it finished by the end of February, and then when I had to completely start the back again, I thought, oh, there's no way I'm going to. But the sleeves were really quick, and And so I got the sleeves, both sleeves knitted up. So I'm being distracted by squirrels. There's loads of squirrels running around at the moment. So yeah, so these are knitting up. This is knitting up really quickly now. The pattern repeat, what I found out I was doing when I was knitting the back was I was setting myself a target of like 1 or 2 repeats of the pattern each evening, because I do have to concentrate when I'm doing that. So it is the 18th today. I've got 11 days. Yeah, I'll have that finished. Which then leads me to which of my Make 9 patterns do I start on next? And I've got 3 in my head that I'm trying to choose from. So I need you guys to help me out, and you need to vote on this. You need to leave me a comment before, well, in the next week. Sorry, squirrels everywhere out there. I'm so distracted. Right, so you need to leave me a comment, please, in the next week. Let's say before the 29th of February. Because then I'll start a new cast on for the Make 9 in March. And it might be, right, anyway, yeah. So these are the 3 options. These are the 3 that are going around my head, and I'll explain why they're going around my head. Alright, so the first one that's going in my head is the Whitmoor sweater, which has been on my Make 9 list for a couple of years. And my plan is to use just this sparkly DK acrylic yarn to do it. And it's an Aldi yarn from maybe 10 years ago. And it's a lovely sparkly turquoise. And I have 12 balls of this. So it should be enough to do the Whitmoor sweater with the full sort of like bishop sleeves, I think they're called. So I'm just trying to see, these are 50-gram balls. Trying to see if I can, 98% acrylic, 2% metallic yarn. It doesn't actually say how many meters there are per ball, but I'm sure 12 balls of that will be enough. I suppose I ought to actually try and do the maths. So that's option number 1, the Whitmoor sweater in the sparkly acrylic. Now, why shouldn't I cast that on? Is it the right time of year for sparkle? In my head, yeah. You can have sparkle any time of the year. So, I don't know. I guess there was part of me thinking, if I knit that in March, am I going to wear that in April? And even May. And don't say it'll be too warm in May. I live in the UK. We all think that it's going to be too warm for sweaters in May, but it isn't. Not usually. Maybe by the end of May. So if I knit that in March, am I going to wear it in April and May? I mean, it's lovely bright blue, so it's quite, the colour is quite, you know, summery, spring, but it's got sparkle in it. But that wouldn't stop me. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is the Festive Yoke sweater. Yes, a Christmas sweater. Because I'd like to get started on that early, so that I can have it definitely finished by December. And I would probably also need to swatch for it. I know, but I will swatch for that. And I wouldn't aim to get it finished in March, but at least to get it started. I didn't show you the yarn for this before, I just told you about it, that it was a yarn that I had dyed. And it's in sport weight, I think if I remember right, it was 100% merino. And I bought this to knit, what's it called? The Aspen Glow, which was a Rhinebeck sweater from Andrew Mowry, maybe, a couple of years ago. And I didn't knit it. So this is sport weight, and I dyed it up. This is the Stormy Skies colourway, actually. So I've got 3 of the Stormy Skies and 2 in the pink, which is kind of quite similar to the Pinkalicious pink, maybe a little bit more tonal. So do I start the Festive Yoke sweater? Downside to it is it won't be completed in 1 month, and I've got to wind the yarn and I've got to gauge swatch. Ugh. So that might be better for April when I'm off for 2 weeks for the Easter holidays again, rather than March. So let me know what you think. So we've got the Festive sweater, okay, the Whitmoor sweater, or option number 3, ladies and gentlemen, is the Stumble dress. Now I don't actually have the pattern for that yet. I haven't purchased the pattern for that, but I have got all the yarn. So the Stumble dress is a T-top and skirt joined together. Now I have got 2 yarn shows coming up in April. One is the second weekend of April, the weekend after Easter, and that is the Yarn Over Festival at Chipping Sodbury, which is near Bristol. So that's really exciting. And there's part of me thinking, wouldn't it be lovely to wear a knitted dress at that yarn festival? But that would only give me about 5 weeks to knit it. And then I've also got another yarn festival 2 weeks later, which is called Alpaca Evolution, or it's at Alpaca Evolution, which is somewhere near Milton Keynes. I must admit, I've only just got signed up for that one, so I can't remember exactly all the details, but it is near Milton Keynes, and it's 20th and 21st of April. So yeah, there is part of me thinking, wouldn't it be awesome to have that dress knitted for at least one of those shows? Or I could just wait and knit it and wear it at somewhere like Yarndale at the end of September. Let me show you. So I have got quite a lot of skeins of yarn for this, because it's going to take a minimum of 5 skeins, and to be honest, I think I've now got about 7 that I can use, because I'm going to do it as a fade, and it's going to be roughly something like this. I'm going to start with these 2, then I think we have this one, then this one, and then potentially that one, and then that one. But I also got given this one at Christmas that I could throw in as well. So I can't see how I can show this. How many have I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 7. So let's see if I can. Oh my goodness, I cannot find a good way to show these. Right, how are we doing here? Not brilliantly. Is it something like that? Oh, good grief. Put that one that way. Right. Okay, we got them? Yes. Right, so it goes something like that. I think. So yes, so that's obviously a major project. So again, there was part of me thinking, well, it's a bit of a dream to have it finished in April, but it would get started on it. But I don't yet have the pattern. I would have to buy the pattern. So yeah, that's the Stumble dress. So if you think that's the one I should do next, okay, put a comment below with Stumble, or just everything's just fallen off. Put a comment below for dress or Stumble dress. Alright, so yeah, those are the 3 options. The Whitmoor, the Festive Yoke, well, Christmas jumper, or the Stumble dress. Okay, let me know which one you think I should start. Yeah. Okay, let me show you the progress even that I've made on other projects. So this one I showed you last time and told you that I probably wouldn't do any more work on it. Well, I have. Because this is just such lovely, easy, simple knitting. And after I'd finished the Christmas socks, not the Christmas, well, the February socks, the Vintage Tinsel socks, after I'd finished those, I did want something still that in the evenings when it gets to 10 o'clock and I don't want to have to use my brain, just something I could do without thinking. So I have still been working on the Litmus cowl. And when you saw it last, I was up to there. And now I have added in these yarns since you last saw it. So it's got Christmas tree stoppers on because I started this project on Christmas Day. This is the Litmus cowl designed by Amy Florence. Now that's Jude from Stranded Dye Works, but he was known as Amy when he designed the pattern, so I think the pattern is still under the name of Amy Florence, but it's Jude from Stranded Dye Works. Look at this. And the yarn that I'm using was dyed up by Nancy, known as Lane Cable, and she is on Ravelry with us as well, and she dyed up this these minis for me for an advent swap that we did a couple of years ago, and I am using a yarn from Knit Crate as my contrast yarn. Now when I did all my maths for this, I was thinking I'd got 24 minis, but I have now realised I've got 25 minis. So I've just started, because I'm a little bit worried that I won't have quite enough yarn of this yarn. So I have been doing 10 rows for each of these stripes. I've got to mini number 15, and now I'm just going to do 9 rows, because you're not going to be able to see tell the difference, but it should save me enough yarn. Should mean I've got enough yarn saved to still do all the right number of cream stripes. So yes, so that's coming on really well. Oh, let's move the progress keeper. I've shown you that. So yeah, I think I'm just going to keep knitting away on that as a simple, what's the word I want? Mindless knit when it's later in the evening, or if I'm having a glass of wine or two or anything like that. Or go to knit group, you know, something where I need mindless knit. So I'm going to keep working on it, and yeah, I think that will be finished fairly soon. I keep coughing, so I will edit out all the coughing, but if it is a little bit jumpy in places, that will be where I've been editing the coughing. Now last time I videoed 2 weeks ago, I had a really croaky voice and I said, oh, I'm not ill or anything, I've just got a croaky voice. Well, the next day, oh my god, I was ill with a cold. It was just a cold, but oh, my nose, my throat, everything, just my whole head was full of congestion for about 3 or 4 days. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm really hoping that this cough isn't going to be the start of another cold. I really don't. I mean, I know I sound a bit snuffly as well, but I think it's just the weather. It's really damp out there. Really damp. And I've come down to the office. I haven't put the heating on down here, so it's a little bit chilly in here, so I'm hoping that it's just that. Right, so what else have we, right, yes, now this is something I have been working on for a little while as well, and I forgot to show you last month or last podcast. So I'm trying to I've got a few blankets that I really want to knit, but I am trying not to cast on any new blankets until I've finished at least one. So I am working on the Stitch on Sunday blanket, and I set myself a target to have this finished by Easter, and it is a blanket that I'm knitting for my parents-in-law. So I have done a lot of squares on this year, and I'm not sure how many there are in here, but I am on 34 out of 40. Yay! So I've got 5.5 left to do. So let me show you. This is number 34. the back of number 34. So this is square number 34. Now this is designed by Kelly Menzies and it's called the Stitch on Sunday blanket. And she released it a week at a time, maybe in 2021. And I started it actually in 2022. And the idea was you learnt, it was particularly designed maybe for beginners or people who wanted to start knitting lace, because every square is a lace square. And every square is different, which is one of the reasons why I think it's taken me a little bit of time to do. But I am now on, like I say, that's square number 34, and there are 40 in total. So these are all the ones that I've done over the last few weeks. They are all knitted in Stylecraft Special DK. I can't tell you which number each one is particularly, so I've done that one. I'm using 5 different colours, and I suddenly decided to switch in colours and just like, right, okay, I think I've got 3 left to do in each colour. So I was like, right, now just knit 3 in that colour, 3 in that colour, 3 in that colour, just again maybe to feel like it was getting through it a little bit quicker. There's this one. There's this one. So this colourway is rose. This one is fuchsia. Yeah, the chickens. That means one of them's just laid an egg. Another one in fuchsia. Now this one seems to be a lot narrower, but I'm guessing I'm going to have to stretch it right out like that when I sew them together. So these are all the fuchsia ones. I'm not sure which way up that way up some of them go. I think that might be this way up. Oh, so that colourway is teal. And these are, say, all Stylecraft Special DK. And this one is plum. This is very similar to the pattern that's on my jumper that I'm knitting actually. So I have done all the plum. I think now I'm on the last of the rose. I think I've done all the fuchsia, which means that all what I've got left to do is teal, and the other colour that you can't see in here is meadow, which is like well, it's green, but I'm trying to think like just a mid green. It's not particularly dark, it's not particularly light, and I haven't got that with me here today. So yeah, that's over halfway through on that pattern. I really like that one. So got 6 left to do. Yeah, and then join them together, which I think I'm going to join them together with cream and then do a cream border, I think. I just need to have a look at what I've got in my stash, and also because it's going to be for my parents-in-law and they're partially sighted. Yeah, if I do it in cream, that's a nice high contrast, and then they know where the edge of the blankets are, because they've both got quite bad eyes. Well, they're both registered as blind. They are both partially sighted. They can see a bit. So I've been really pushing on that, and there have been some times where I've literally just knitted one a day, or I've knitted one over 2 days, you know, done an hour or so each evening on those. So want to get that finished, want to get that sewn together, and yeah, gifted to my in-laws for Easter. Okay, what else have I been working on? So when I finished the February socks, I then went back to other socks that I've got on my needles, and I pulled out pattern that I started on Christmas Eve. It was my Christmas Eve cast on, and I'm up to the toes now. So this is the Winter's Frost pattern by this Handmade Life, which is really pretty. And the colour that I'm using is one of mine, Little Likac, and it is the Frosted Berries colourway. Now I have literally just this week dyed up more of this, and it will be going into the shop. I'm going to be doing a big shop update. If I'm honest, it will probably all go live at the beginning of March, because I'm also Dyer of the Month in March at Nibbles, Needles and Hooks, which is so exciting, which basically means Liz from the Nibbles, Needles and Hooks, which is a yarn shop in Derbyshire, she's just a fabulous lady, and she really supports lots of other small businesses. And every month she has yarn in from a different independent dyer, and she also has bags in from a project bag. She has project bags in from a different bag maker each month, which is lovely for her customers, because it means her customers get the chance to buy indie yarn from lots of different dyers over the course of the year, and project bags. It's a great way of supporting people like myself. So I have, over half term, just dyed up lots of new stock. Some of that will be going up to Liz from Nibbles, Needles and Hooks, which will include a few of these as well, so you would be able to get that from up there. And also, as I say, I've got 2 yarn shows in April as well, so I will be dyeing up more over the next few weeks as well to make sure I'm well stocked for those 2 yarn shows. Anyway, so this is, yes, the Frosted Berries colourway, which was a yarn colourway that I dyed from inspiration from viewers, and I did that in November. And then it sold out straight away. I dyed up some more, that sold out, so I have dyed up some more. You can see I've just got to the toes. So this is on my sparkle base. So yes, I intend to at least finish the first sock of this by the end of February as well. Got quite a few things to get finished, haven't I? Right, so I said I was going to give you some statistics. So in January, I knitted and donated as well, actually, because I did donate some acrylic and stuff, just some, another squirrel. I donated some DK acrylic and stuff to school, actually. It was used for craft projects. So I managed to get rid of, or use, 2,512 metres worth of yarn in January. But I did get some yarn in. I actually got 1,100 metres of yarn, which I will show you. But it did mean that I had still used 1,412 metres more than I had bought. So in January, it was all good. So what did I buy? Well, I actually bought a load of this because it's just a cream vintage yarn, actually 100% new wool. I think it is machine washable. Yeah, it is machine washable. 4-ply, and it's vintage. And I got it off of eBay because I was looking at other project blanket ideas for using up sock yarn, particularly as I'm going through the Socks In You Know It Cowl and using striped yarn. I was thinking, what can I do with some of the leftovers of this striped yarn? And I actually found a knitted square pattern that actually this person has used it. It's Frankie Brown, and I've used Frankie Brown patterns before. And she'd used it actually for to make a cardigan. I don't really want to make a cardigan, but I really liked the squares. Let me just try it back there. And these are knitted squares, and she used a load of opal minis, and you can see that some of them are striping. So I'm going to have a go, we'll give it a go, at using some of the leftover striped sock yarn. But you can see as well, she'd outlined them all in cream. So I bought a mass, I'm not sure how many balls there are actually of this. it was from eBay, and as I say, it is vintage. It is, you know, somebody's de-stash, and they'd even started a couple of things. So there's 1 or 2 balls that have been started. I think there's a baby blanket that's been, yeah, like there's a blanket started here. Obviously I'll pull those back. But yeah, so I've got 1100 meters of that. So that, and as I say, I really want to start this blanket, but I'm not going to start this blanket until I have finished the Stitch on Sunday blanket. And then we'll give it a go. We'll see what, if we like those squares, and if we don't, we'll try something else. I know there are the mitered square blankets. I could do, and lots of people talk about those. I'm not too keen on them, and I certainly don't really. I'm looking for something that's going to work with stripes, and I don't like the mitered squares in self-striping. So I'm going to try this pattern first. If not, maybe I've just got to use them for scrappy socks and fingerless mitts and things like that. Oh, there's a bird over there. I'm so distracted by stuff out in the garden today. There's a lot of birds and squirrels, and yeah. And they just keep catching my attention. I'm really sorry about that. Oh, I also have got in here, and look at this. Now, this is not my yarn. This is Hallie from my knit group. It's her yarn that she bought, I think in Yarndale, from Siobhan's Crafts, and she's a crocheter rather than a knitter, but she really wants a pair of socks, and somehow I have volunteered to knit her a pair of socks. So yes, that is not my yarn, so it's not going to count as stash in or stash out, I don't think. Anyway, but yes, promise I will knit her a pair of socks. Okay, so yes, so I was doing quite well. I definitely, you know, what did I say, 1400 meters out of stash in January, really good. However, my February statistics are not looking so good at the moment, because so far all I've got out of stash is the Vintage Tinsel socks, and that's not even a full skein. But I will also purchase some yarn, so that's why I need to get some of these other things finished in February, so that I can get some more stash out. So Ruth from Ruth Loves to Knit, she's got an amazing podcast, probably one of the most successful UK podcasts that I watch in respect of numbers of subscribers. She's got like 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel, and she's probably the most successful UK one that I watch. Love her as well. She's just so down to earth and funny, and I just enjoy watching her. Anyway, she sometimes puts up on Instagram yarn to de-stash, and she put something up, and I saw it in the morning, and I was like, oh, that's pretty. And then when I got home that evening, I went to look again, and I couldn't see it, and I thought, could I imagine that? So I messaged her, and she said, oh no, I've taken it down because nobody was interested. And I was like, oh, okay, I might be interested. And bless her, she sent me some more pictures, and oh yes, let me find. So this is what she had put up on de-stash, and it is Cascade Heritage. No, it's not Cascade Heritage actually, it's just Cascade Yarns, and it is Cascade 220 Heathers. Now I must admit, this does seem to get mixed reviews on Ravelry, but of people saying it's not very, it's a bit rustic, but these were reviews from quite a few years ago, and this doesn't feel rustic to me. It is made in Peru, it is hand wash only, it's not super wash, so I've got to remember that. It's 100% Peruvian Highland wool, 100 grams, 220 yards, 200 meters. So it's kind of a DK / worsted weight. It is beautiful, and it's just my colour. So I've got 10 skeins of this, so that is 2,000 meters. So yes, that's 2,000 meters that's come into stash in February. So so at the moment, my overall statistics, I'm at a slight loss in this respect. I've got more in than out. So I definitely need to finish that jumper, which will be probably 9 balls out. And I am doing it all by meterage. And what was the other thing that I hope to get finished? Maybe those sparkly socks might get finished by the end of February. Anyway, so hopefully we will, if I get that jumper finished, I'll be back into a deficit. So that's not bad. Both of the yarns that I have bought so far this year have been from D-Stash, from other people's D-Stash. So they are kind of what's the word I want? More sustainable in some ways. The cream was bought for a definite project. I'm going to be honest, the Cascade wasn't. It was just I really like that, and it was a good price. Obviously, you know, Ruth, when she sells stuff from D-Stash, she is selling things at slightly reduced from what they would be full price. But obviously, as well, I don't feel like I was taking advantage. Anyway, yes, so that is what I bought. Right, we're at 50 minutes. Have I talked about everything I wanted to talk about? I think so. I think so. Anything else can wait till next time. There was a lot to talk about considering I've only got one finished object, wasn't there? I hope it hasn't been too boring for you. Why would it be boring? I see other podcasters say that at the end of their podcasts, and I think, no, don't put yourself down like that. So I'm not going to put myself down. I hope you've enjoyed the content. And yes, please let me know which of those 3 projects you think I should cast on next. Whitmoor jumper, the dress, or the festive yoke pullover. Let me know which one you think, and that will be started in March. Right, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.